Ooh, whatto chaps, I'm Magical Mike, this is Guild Wars 2. You can follow me on Twitter, you know where to follow me, and if you don't then it's in the description. And with me is...
Oh, you want me to do my
Yeah, man,
understand?
come
Yeah.
on.
Oh, okay. So it's a Guildwarsbuddy here.
Guildwarsbuddy. Now,
And
today
we're looking at the Guardian.
we're going to interrupt each other, and we're looking at the Guardian. The reason I've got you here, as you well know, but nobody else does, is because you asked me, what's the difference between the Guardian and the Warrior? They pretty much look the same. And you can be forgiven for totally thinking that, because they're both heavy, armoured, massive sword-wielding classes that sort of do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean to a point. Looking at the footage and seeing Flail play the warrior and seeing this, both have very DPS heavy builds that are possible. But I guess what changes is the utility skills, right?
The utility skills, yes, they are most of what changes them. I mean, you can make a build and it'll be using the same weapons, but you can change it entirely just by changing those 5 utility skills that you've got there. But with the Guardian, you can do quite a bit of stuff. I mean, not only that, there's the weapon skills themselves change utility and give you different options as well. For example, the staff is a very buff-oriented thing and a very control and support-oriented weapon. You're much better off using the staff in team fights rather than solo like I was just there.
Yeah.
And here.
So what does the staff give you in terms of control? You have a wall, you have a buff that gives everybody might. What else do you have in there that you feel is more support?
My skill 3 skill, yep, is a ground targeted thing that will give swiftness and I think some other buff to everybody that steps on it, and it also just do damage, and I think it implies vulnerability to everyone, that all the enemies that stand on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have an orb that I can fire out that will heal allies and damage enemies. I can give all the stacks of might, and I can put that wall down that enemies can't cross.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think one of the big differences is in terms of passives, right? This is where the support / tankiness of the Guardian changes from the Warrior, because the Warrior has adrenaline as his passive, and
as the main class skill, yeah.
Yeah. But as a Guardian, you have the virtues.
3 virtues, sure. Which we have the burning one. I don't know the names of all these. They're like justice and some other crap. I don't know. We've got burning. You can see the fire on just above my bar where the virtues are right there. That indicates that my next attack will cause burning to that enemy. I can sacrifice that to give everyone in the area around me the chance to do the exact same thing, so we can get loads of stacks and time on burning. I have the healing, which gives me regen, or I can give all my allies regen, or I have the block, the Aegis one, and I can obviously do the same thing and give all my allies a chance to block stuff.
Yeah, so you can make yourself do more damage, block more, and heal more. So that gives you that tank ability and a little bit more DPS if you want it for yourself, or you can expand that and become a protector / supporter that gives everybody around him the ability to burn, regenerate health, and block. So I think that's what makes this character a lot tankier than the Warrior. Just the block ability, just that block and that regen right there, I think is a major difference.
Definitely. While the Warrior can do the same kind of things, not exactly the same. They have the banners, right? So they can stick a defense banner down and everyone gets buffed on the defense, and they can get offensive stuff and all sorts of stuff to buff allies. But the Guardian has the virtues, let's say those are the equivalent, but then also has 5 utility skills that I can use, so I've just got that one extra class ability to do that support role.
Yeah, I think passive is pretty big. I mean, in terms of what defines a class, something like adrenaline defines, I think, the Warrior, but I think the virtues really define the Guardian in that respect. And it's sort of... It locks the Guardian into, I think, that kind of a role, that kind of a slightly tankier, regenerative role.
It does totally depend on how you want to play it, though, because while right here I am being the support guy, I'm also not using my virtues, because number one, I didn't actually see them being that significant, which is unfortunate because it's a defining thing. And number two, because I was too stupid and I didn't realise, and I didn't time it, because I hadn't been using them for the entire weekend, because they weren't flashy in any way. They didn't give good feedback when I used them, so I just sort of forgot that they were there.
Mm-hmm. I'd definitely like to see that being used in a proper team. I mean, four melee people all up in there, and then you give them the ability to burn the enemy. It'd be interesting
Absolutely,
to hear
just
what
like
they have
right
to
there.
say.
And I've got my cursor over hold the line there. I use it and then gives everybody some regen and some protection and things. There's some good skills the Guardian has. Clearly, a much more support-oriented class than the Warrior is.
Yeah. I'd be interesting to see the pure DPS, a pure DPS in terms of, yeah, of course, the weapon's going to make a big difference in how much damage you do, but just have all the utility skills damage-oriented instead of support-oriented to see what it's like to play that well on your own, and how can you. Are you the equivalent of the warrior in terms of just pure damage, but your passive gives you that little extra survivability?
Oh, I was definitely doing quite a lot more with the spirit weapons when I was playing solo, but they're obviously limited by the cooldowns. They haven't got as much time on them active as it takes for them to cool down. So, not as sustained as the warrior, but still tanky and can actually stay in combat for longer.
I am interested by the great sword that you use and that leap ability that you always the leap of faith.
Bang.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like that. I like that it makes the Guardian feel as aggressive. Smashy, sure.
It feels like
as aggressive
stuff.
Exactly. I mean, that's part of what you don't want. Like one of the things I really didn't like about the Paragon in Guild Wars 1 was that it never felt like you were doing any damage.
Oh yeah, those spears definitely felt super wimpy.
Like even the aggressive quote unquote skills, like the 8 adrenaline, power attacks, etc. for the spears, it never felt like you were doing much damage. It wasn't very satisfying to play, which is why you stick to warrior or dervish if you really want to feel like you're in the fray. But this at least it looks like you're in the action, especially that leap of faith skill.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good when the screen shakes and everything. The hammer does this constantly because he's smashing things so much, and the mace is very similar. But, oh man, it's good. I recommend not turning screen shake off. That is an option in the options menu.
No, in terms of, I never really liked playing the DPS. I mean, I played an assassin when I was playing Guild Wars 1, and I played pretty much every class. I got to play the huge damage-oriented, the glass cannons, if you will. I'm not saying that the warrior is that in Guild Wars 2. It definitely looks more like it.
It definitely can be built that way. That's for sure.
Yeah, this kind of DPS / support / tank is definitely. I like the all-around characters a little bit more. I know that's maybe boring and generic.
Oh no, a lot of people like the Ranger, and the Ranger can do pretty much everything in Guild Wars 1, and probably in Guild Wars 2 too.
It's just too bad that looking at the census, right, that I'm going to end up playing the most played gender, race, and profession.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'll be playing a Char Engineer that everybody's picking, so yeah, no worries. And aside from that, my main character are obviously going to be a Norn Warrior. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for release. Less than a month, man. Can you believe that?
No, I'm looking forward to it. But
I get to play with it.
I'm not sure about the Norn though. I'll have to look at the character creation. Maybe I'll go Norn. It'll depend on if they make me look like this big burly beast, or if I can make him look a little bit more like me.
I think you might be stuck there. It's like trying to make the Sylvari look like humans, or trying to make the Azura look normal.
No, but making the Azura look, I've seen a few pictures of some of the Azuras that looked, normal. Yeah, big fro, not necessarily.
Yeah, big orange afro, not a big fan, I'm afraid. No. Now everybody's going to troll and do that. Oh, thanks.
No. You're ruining my immersion, man. You're ruining my immersion.
Shaking my head.
I mean, the armors, that I've seen in the videos, and all that. Everything looks like it fits. I haven't seen anything that looks particularly out of the ordinary.
Definitely. I will say on the Sylvari, I've got quite a bit of a rant coming up on that because I'm not too happy with it, but I'll save that for another video.
Why aren't you happy with it? No, don't save it for now. Why aren't you happy with the armor?
Because it doesn't fit. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right that a plant person should be wearing this super heavy metal armor. It should at least be race friendly.
But how much time have the Sylvari had to really smith their own kind of armor?
25 years?
That's not a long time. To develop an aesthetic, to develop functionality.
I
mean, much better to
NPCs
just
with the sort of stuff that I want, and maybe it'll be later game dungeon rewards and things like that. But for now, I'm not too happy with the early game metal armor like I've got here.
Just plain steel plate or whatever.
Just sort of chainmail with steel plate shoulders and things like that.
Yeah, it's hard to see. You don't zoom into your character that much, but yeah.
My fault.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see the virtues being used, though.
Yep. I'd like some feedback on them. If just any kind of effects would be really, really nice. I mean, when you use the block one, you see, if you stood near a load of people and they're not taking much damage, you get to see all their shields pop up. But aside from that, not a whole lot. So
yeah,
that's
it'd be
pretty much
good
it.
to have some feedback. Yeah.
Anything more to add?
No, I think you've convinced me. I mean, and this was the question I was asking you. What do you think I should play, knowing how I played Guild Wars 1, knowing what I like in an RPG, and you suggested at first the Warrior, but then when you played the Guardian, you said no, Guardian would probably be a better fit. And I tend to agree, just looking at the skills, the stats, the gameplay. It definitely looks more like I'll be playing a Guardian.
The only thing that's weird about the Guardian, when it comes to you in particular, I don't know about anyone else, but is that you get caster weapons as ranged weapons instead of bows and rifles, which kind of strange. Maybe if you wanted that, you go with the warrior, but I don't know.
I could definitely see, a kind of a spear or a bow being used by this kind of a holy character. I don't see why limited to staff, but then again, I mean, there always has to be drawbacks to certain classes, so fair enough.
It's a drawback. Let's see if anyone agrees in the comments. And with that, I think I should round this video off. And if you've watched this, then thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming on. I'll put a link to your channel in the description. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you guys next time.
Later.